You know, I just looked at it and I apologize. We had the family over for dinner and I just now like logged back in and saw it. So.
Oh, no problem. It was like a last minute thing anyway.
Yeah, because I was going to say, because I do have, let me like try to get the light better in here. Because I was definitely thinking of holding up the book and things, but gosh, is that going to be better or worse? Let's see. Yeah, so I think what I'll have to do is just hold up the book and maybe like flip to something on the inside, something like that.
Okay, cool. Cool. I am recording now, and let me see. I am going to share.
I don't know how to turn this off.
Let's see, link to Facebook. There we go. Welcome, everybody. If you're just coming on, let's see, to a page. We'll be starting in a few minutes, just waiting for more people to get here. Oh yeah, I'm not muted, good. Let's see, oops, that's not what I wanted. All right, and we're going live on the Shoebox Projects Facebook page also.
Okay.
So let's see. Oh, and then I was going to bring up the exhibition. Welcome, everybody. I hope you're having a good Sunday, or wait, Saturday. I don't even know what day it is anymore.
I see the video as well.
If you missed, let me see. If you weren't able to see, oh, I hear myself. If you weren't able to see the exhibition online, here's the work. And let's see. Oops. If you're not talking, go ahead and mute yourself just so there's no feedback or anything coming through. So I just posted a link to the exhibition online, and also Justin set up his work. He created a space in his home called the Balcony Gallery, which is awesome. It looks beautiful. So he's going to be doing a walkthrough in a few minutes. And then let me see. And also joining us, we have Karen. Is it Gutfreund, Karen, or how do you pronounce it?
Perfect.
Oh, okay, Gutfreund.
Yeah, so it's friend in English, but gut Freund in German if you sprechen Sie Deutsch.
Okay, I don't, but I should because my family's German.
Yeah.
And Karen Gutfreund is joining us. She curated the book Not Normal, Art in the Age of Trump. I'm posting a link here from Amazon so you can check it out. What we'll do is I'll introduce Justin and Karen, and Justin and Jordan, who's also joining us. And Justin, I did mute you, so I don't know if you guys tried to say anything. Sorry. There was some feedback. What we'll do is, Justin will do kind of a walkthrough and talk about his work, and then we'll pass it over to Karen, who will talk about her book and the experience of putting it together and some of the work in it, and of course how important it is to what's going on right now. And then, we're pretty informal. We've talked about it. If you guys have any questions, want to spark conversation, that's what this is all about. So please feel free. That's what we're here for.
Okay.
So, and we are recording, just so everybody's aware. And yeah, I think, let's see. And I put, just in case, I did put in chat the link to the exhibition and the link to Karen's book. So I'm going to move that sticky now, so that way that task is done. And we can probably go ahead and get started. If you're ready, Justin and Karen?
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, everybody, so much for being here. This is the Whitewashing of America, the solo exhibition by Justin Prough and organized by Shoebox Projects. We have an online exhibition on our Shoebox Projects website, and Justin curated, this solo exhibition in this beautiful, beautiful space that he's going to be doing a walkthrough. And then we have Karen joining us, who curated Not Normal Art in the Age of Trump, which is a perfect pairing with Justin and his work. So I wanted to draw attention to both, and we planned this, of course. It's the perfect time to talk about what's going on with the elections coming up. And we were going to try and get a couple organizations to help get out the vote if this was in person. So I'll post a couple of links in chat just in case, but hopefully everybody is voting or has voted or will be voting, or yes, so vote. That's the most important thing. So with that, I will go ahead and pass it over to Justin and Jordan. And if, like I said, if you're just coming on, be sure to mute yourself. That way there's no feedback.
Christine, thank you so much, and thank you so much for hosting tonight. And Karen, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited to talk about your book later. But as an artist, I'm always really intrigued by the genesis of a lot of the art I see around me. So I thought that'd be a good place to start with Whitewashing America. And the genesis of this series actually started in a car ride. I was driving Jordan back from soccer one night. We're listening to NPR, and there's an article, and it's during the time when Trump was trying to ban immigration of people from shithole countries. And I'm like, oh, we're listening to this. And Jordan got really quiet. And I looked at the back seat, and all of a sudden she looks at me and she says, what'd you say?
I said, is Trump going to take me away from you and mommy? Is he going to send me back to Africa? Who will be my family?
As a parent, like, here's like a U.S. citizen, our daughter, who she's thinking she's going to be sent back to a place where she has no family, ripped away from her family. As a parent, it was heartbreaking. It was so infuriating, and I didn't know what to do at that time. But I decided from that I wanted to make something. I wanted to create something that people like myself, like my daughter, people are downtrodden by the rhetoric and the behavior of our current administration, could look and say, yeah, this isn't right. What's going on in our country isn't right. This isn't just. This isn't patriotic, and this definitely isn't American. And also at the same time, we have moved. And for anyone who has kids, you realize how many toys you collect over the years. And we move, I'm going through these boxes of toys, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't throw this away. What am I gonna do with this stuff? So we're unpacking, and I open up a box, and this is what I found. I open up this box of defunct video game toys, and I see this. Donald Duck giving the side eye to Tinkerbell. And as I'm opening this box, this is when the Me Too movement's getting started. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use stuff I find around the house and the kids' toys to be able to make conversation pieces that I can hang around our house at first, to be able to get people to realize when they come to our house, is like, you know what, this isn't right what's going on. This is a safe place for me to be and to be free. So with that, I want to get into some of the work. So I want to show you what that first piece, what those action figures turned into. And they turned into the first piece, which is A Nation Divided. And A Nation Divided, let me describe the technique. So what these are all 4 foot by 4 foot. And the backdrop is always an American flag. In this case, it's upside down. communicating that we are a nation in distress. And this is really interesting too. So I like the idea of like kind of making people think about things. So if you read this, it can be read as all hail the Donald, or all hell the Donald, or all hail the Donald. So it's really interesting as different people come into our house, they would read it different ways. But what I want to communicate is that the more decisive our administration gets, and here's that moment, Tinkerbell facing off Donald Trump, and you'll notice some of the characters are elated, they're happy, some are angry, but they're all kind of mean and decisive and really not in a good shape in terms of what our nation is. So the more we're divided, the more we are distressed as a nation. So that was the first piece that made, and then from there, I started to realize that with every passing news cycle, some new atrocity would kind of like be wiped out. So I wanted to make a manifesto piece that would remind me of really all the stuff that's going on in his current administration. So, you know, between fake news, lies, cognitive dissonance, the normalization of hate, racism, and sexism, building walls of ideology, the deconstruction of hope, liberty, and dreams, less environmental protections, love tax cuts for the rich, climate change is a hoax, come on. More doubling down on fossil fuel, denying the biggest wealth grab in modern history, make America great again, resist the state of Trump. And all of these I wanted to, it's so dark, but I wanted them to be kind of very clean and organized. And it was actually therapeutic for me to make these in terms of, instead of like throwing paint, being really angry about it, I could go and make pieces that are very thoughtful. This is another one. This one here is called Dump Trump. And I created this one, right, as, it kind of has two meanings here. One half of our nation elected this guy and approve of the rhetoric he uses and the behavior he does. So what this is, it's a dump truck. It's actually an old Tonka truck. I think it's either a MAGA supporter or Trump's driving, I'm not sure. But it's got tweets on the side. And then in the back, what are we dumping? We're dumping the truth. Free press, equality, science, democracy, and the American dream. That's what we're dumping currently. I want to end that. I don't want to dump that stuff. I want to dump the other stuff that says, let's keep the stuff in the truck. This one I created, there's a site, it's a really fun site. It's called Trump Golf Count. And what it does actually speaks to how much taxpayer dollars we're paying for Trump to go to Mar-a-Lago. And it's the American flag. Trump's kind of snickering at us, at the viewer. And the middle finger here is actually made up of golf clubs. So these are all golf clubs that I've assembled to communicate the unbridled trips to Mar-a-Lago that this guy's taken during his campaign. But also from the very beginning when he got in office, even before that, with I think a lot of Russian help, we've had this onslaught of tweets, thorny tweets. This one is actually called the Social Revulsion. It's a hammer and sickle. It started in 2016, and then what we have in the stripes of our flag are tweets from Twitter, and they're all strung together with barbed wire, which then leads down to the very end, which is ended USA. So let's end the string of thorny tweets. In a very Orwellian way, our current administration has turned the EPA and a lot of our government entities into, how do I describe it? Basically, organizations that enable and protect corporate profits over humanitarian goals and or the environment. We have a toy Earth, we have a mannequin head, we have gas pump handles. These are all tailpipes and various elements to communicate that more or less we're all going up in smoke with our current EPA. A lot of fun. Coronavirus, right? This one is actually called full of shit. And it's really, if you'll notice, through the center, we have the coronavirus has taken over, and where it's eaten away, our flag is left with death or crosses.
Here.
And we have, and since he's, spewing shit, we need to wipe up after that. So there's an empty roll of toilet paper over his mouth. So good times. There's another one with some of the kids' toys. So this is another of the Me Too movement. It's grab 'em by, and then down there in the stars, it's 45. And this one is actually made up with Barbie doll legs.
Yeah.
And a little bit behind the scenes. So this one, it kind of comes in and out of focus as I get more and more, you see the dimensionality of it. This one, I have to talk about this one a little bit. This one was a pain in the butt to make. I didn't realize what I had to do is I actually had to go in and plan it. I had to hand pose each Barbie doll leg and go in and glue it. And then when I realized once I glued it, I then had to sand the Barbie doll legs to make it work. But so these are 9 pieces, excuse me, these are 8 pieces that I've created so far, and I could make many, many more. But ultimately, I had set out to make 9, and I've made 8, and the 9th is yet to be determined because I don't know how this ends. I hope it ends the way I hope it ends, and we all should go vote, and hopefully we get to where we want to be. But this is the Whitewashing of America, inspired by my daughter and anyone out there who is looking for inspiration, knowing that what we have going on right now is not right. But I also thinking about that, I want everyone to notice the shirt I'm wearing today. Like, how does that make one feel? Like, I actually cringe to put it on, and I think what's so horrible about that is the iconography and the symbols of our country have been hijacked in a lot of ways, and I don't think for the right reasons. And I'm really curious about how other artists around the country are coming to grips with this. And I'm so excited that Karen's here today to kind of talk about her book and what she's doing, which I think is incredible, by creating a book of the veracity that's going on and what artists are doing with it. So Karen, I'd really love to hear more about what you're up to and some of the things you've found.
Yeah,
if you want to jump into it, Karen, and
okay.
Yeah, and we can go ahead. Nobody's really asking questions, so we could do.
Oh yeah.
We could do a Q&A after that.
Okay, I was going to say, well, like, oh my, Justin, I so badly, I would have known you before I did the book because you would have had a chapter all of your own. I mean, I love your work. I think it's amazing. The fact that as a social justice artist that, you committed so much time and energy in creating this body of work, and that it's pointed, it's witty, it has so many layers to it, and it speaks so directly to such important issues. And so here, I'll hold up here. So here's the cover of the book. This is Not Normal Art in the Age of Trump. And the cover image is by an artist named Kate Kretz, who lives outside of Baltimore. And she also has such an amazing body of work. And unfortunately, like right now, she is getting more death threats than you can possibly imagine for creating this work. It's really, this president, I think, is bringing all the wackos out of the woodwork who now feel empowered to promote hate and violence. But yeah, so just to briefly go in it, this is actually version 2 of the book. The first one that I did was last October, I created in October for an event for a gallery called Art Rage in Syracuse, New York. I'm a Californian, but I'm living in Syracuse right now. Sort of a long story, but I'll be here for another year before I return to the North Bay of California. And so every year since Trump's been elected, they've had an event called Not Normal Art in the Age of Trump, which is what, I created this for, where they have poetry readings and theater and performance, all things, in regards to artists' reaction to Trump. So I did the first version of the book with, it was 38 artists with 55 pieces. And since then, now it's morphed into 147 artists with 350 works, addressing all sorts of issues. And let me take a break here, because on my phone, I'm just seeing, can everyone still hear me? Because I'm seeing just weird blank television. Is all good still? Okay, good.
Yeah.
So, yeah, question. So I'll just, so within the book, in 350 works, is I broke it into chapters, which I thought, was because there's just so much subject matter. And Justin, I'm sure it's like every day you could like create a new work based on just the ridiculousness and the atrocities. I mean, it's like, is anyone even thinking about the kids still stuck at the border? I mean, it just makes my head want to explode, because it's like, it just seems to me every day there's just so much fodder for artists to react to. And so what I've called this, it's really been an amazing groundswell of a visual protest of artists raising their paintbrushes, in response to what's happening in our country right now. So, this book is just like a small, snapshot of what's happening from, coast to coast. But just for fun, I'll give you guys a few of the, the chapter headers I came up with was, The Emperor Has No Clothes, The Swamp, It's the End of the World, Democracy and Civility as We Know It. Everyone liked the REM song. Build the Wall, Very Fine People, Grab 'em by the Pussy. And oh, by the way, I love your piece, the Grab 'em piece with the Barbie butts. That's brilliant. Brilliant. Commander in Bleach, Putin's Puppet, Bomb a Hurricane, Liar Liar Pants on Fire, Stable Genius, and then it ends with Not My President. So that's just like, so within each chapter I have, just a ton of work that, addressed each of those subjects.
Fantastic. I mean, it's a beautiful book.
Yeah, thank you. Oh, and I should say right now, it's like, and I don't know if we could connect somebody's computer, but to show the promo video that I did on YouTube. And I'm wondering, is there a way to do that? Because it's only 1 minute and 41 seconds, but it would give such a, and I wish I would have like sent this to you earlier, but Christine, is there a way that we could show that?
Yeah, I think so. Let me see.
Yeah.
I found it, and let me see. I can go ahead and, oops, wait, stop. Let me share my screen and see if.
Yeah, and the music is by one of the artists named Trick, and he's actually from the Netherlands, and it was so serendipitous the way this entire project came together. But yeah, but if you can show that, I think that would, I think people would really like it.
Yeah, let's see. Here we go. Can everybody see it? Karen, can you see it? I think most people did.
Yeah.
I was just gone dark. Oh, now it's going.
Oh, okay. There we go.
No, they've muted us, I guess. I think we're just,
Yeah, thank you for playing that.
I was muted and I'm talking. No, it's a great video, and to see a lot of the work within the video is fantastic.
Yeah, so what I would like recommend everyone to do, any of the viewers out there, is go to YouTube and just Google or search for Not Normal Art in the Age of Trump to see it, because the music is just, it's phenomenal, and sort of segues into what I love so much about like this project and other curatorial projects that I've done. It's the collaborative aspect of it. Like I've worked with, you know, Christine a lot over the years, and now having met Justin, and I say, like, God forbid if the Orange Man gets elected again, but I'll be doing version 3 of the book and an actual physical exhibition. And, you know, and we'll want to, you know, work with not only the artists that I have now in the book, but, you know, people like, you know, Justin and other people that have done a lot of work that, you know, on this subject. It's just so important. I think it's just a groundswell of it. It's pulled people together from all corners of the country, and actually outside of the country too. It's like I have a handful of artists from the Netherlands and the UK and even Hong Kong.
Wow. I mean, I've seen, you know, a lot of memes and art and comics and of what, you know, like the international world thinks of us right now, and we could see it both in and out of the United States.
Yeah, so hopefully sanity will prevail and we can regain, you know, not only our reputations, but to me what's so important is a sense of civility, and just being able to have like dialogue again about the issues that really matter, like you know, immigration and, you know, the Black Lives Matters movement and the environment and things like that, where it's not just all like us and them, but because I'm such a believer in that art can bridge, you know, the visual is so much more powerful than words, and it can bridge communities and people of, yeah, it's just that bridge builder to pull people together for, you know, for a common good, for a better place.
Definitely, definitely. I do have a question that just came in for Justin. Justin, from the Bruder family, they're asking, how do you keep your motivation and energy to work in the face of the barrage of bad news, bad acts by POTUS? And this could also go for you, Karen, you know, like what you've seen from and heard from artists.
No, I mean, it's such a good question because, you know, there are days, like even as a family unit, like with what's going on from this administration, COVID, everything else, that you sort of want to curl up and like hide. But I think it speaks to some extent of the technique and what I did with these pieces in terms of making them so precise. Like everything's hand painted, all the lettering's done by hand, all the objects were pieced together by various bits and both in such ways that they would last. And I think by doing that, just the actual creation of them, it was therapeutic, right? So I'm like, I'm actually having to calm myself down and work on these pieces, and at the same time, you know what? I feel like I'm creating something that documents how wrong I feel what's going on is, and I think that helps a lot. So that's a lot of ways that I've used this work to help me cope with what's going on.
Definitely.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet painting all those pieces.
Justin, I'm just kind of muting you when Karen talks because there is some.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead, Karen. Were you going to say something?
Oh yeah, I was going to say that in the creation zen and therapeutic, because messages and work is so strong and powerful, but the actual like painting of it and putting it together has got to be really is just so satisfying.
I wonder, you know, and I've talked about it with Justin too, as far as, you know, what will happen after the election. I mean, of course, you know, once Biden is elected, you know, I wonder where that energy is going to go, or what, you know, where that, and where this work is going to go, and what's going to, you know, take place with that.
Yeah, that's, you know, that's such a great question, because, you know, in a way I'm thinking, because, you know, this work, so many of the works and what I focused on in the book are artists that, and this is not at all to denigrate, like, you know, cartoon art, but the work that I focused on really is, it's like painting, sculpture, installation, assemblage, illustrations, video, rather than just like what we see all the time, you know, like cartoony art. And it's so important to be seen, but I'm a little worried, thinking, because I really think it deserves to have, like, you know, a gallery that has at least like 5 or 6 large rooms to be able to show it all. But maybe just speaking for myself, I am so sick of looking at that orange face, and like having worked with, because I pretty much put this whole book together starting pretty much like in February, when, and particularly like when COVID hit, and that's a whole other story unto itself. But I'm thinking that people may not want to see it anymore. I mean, it'll be really great for history to document like what was happening at this time, but I'm wondering, would anyone really want to go and see it all once it's, you know, once he's out of office? I think for me personally, I'd jump on the first plane I could and go to the Caribbean for a while, if that was possible, and like never look at it again. But yeah, it's like, I'm curious, what do you guys think? Would, if there was a big exhibition of this, you know, of work like this in a show, would you, and I'd love to see like people who are watching, it's like, would you go and see it? Or would you just want to be like, oh, no, let's move on?
I know for me, not right away. You know, I mean, I have a degree in art history, and so I know how important art is to, you know, to the world conversation. To, you know, we look at constructivist art, or we look at, you know, the degenerate art, or, you know, just like our different times in history where art was seen very differently, you know, the art of, you know, Germany during the war. And so, and propaganda art, you know, through the USSR. And, you know, it's important to have that, that reference. It's important to see that, but I don't think I'd want to look at it quite so soon.
Yeah.
I don't know, Justin, have you, I know we've talked about this a little bit, you know, what's your feeling on this?
I agree. I mean, for me, when I was making the pieces, and it's like every news site were buries some atrocity, and I think we all started becoming the level at which of the atrocities we're able to accept as normal kept getting ratcheted up and up. And to see it laid out in front of me right now would really help me take a step back and say, you know what, this is all bad. This is all bad. So as a reminder to say, it's like, this can't be the future of normal. This horrendous rhetoric, the decisiveness, the pitting Americans against Americans. It needs to come to an end. So for me, it's been very therapeutic and kind of reminding me of why I make it, why we should all vote, why we should, you know, care for the environment. These are all really important things. But, you know, if he's voted out and things start to go and you know, we start to kind of re-embrace our brother Americans and stuff, do I want to see it right now? No. But in the future, I do think it has a lot of potential to, again, thinking about communist propaganda and stuff from Germany, it's a reminder of, you know, what as a people we're suffering through during these times. Mm-hmm. I think it's really important, really important.
There I go, muting myself again. We have a couple of, oops, and I'm not muting. Oh, there we go. A couple of comments as far as, yes, this is history, brutal history, important to capture it and learn from it. This art is art and also a public service like murals during the New Deal. So definitely. And then another, there is a BT and AT experience that everyone should see. How we have changed between, or how we have changed, been affected, and affected change in America, both good and bad. Perry, if you have a link to that and want to post it in chat, that would be great. Or more information that we could, you know, find. And then Jane says, interesting question. I think the era of Trump will be memorialized for decades and viewed as time goes on, like the Holocaust, the Kennedy era, 9/11, and other periods of time not to be forgotten. Even in the horror, we look back, so we never forget. And that's very true. I mean, I know of some of the sculptures that were created in response to 9/11, you know, the Falling Man, I think was that by Eric Fischel, if I'm not mistaken. And it was, you know, nobody wanted to look at it. Nobody, they wanted to put it right in the center of New York. And, you know, it was just too, you know, too devastating, too dramatic. And yeah, so definitely. And then another comment, I'd like to see the same approach to the emotional content of this period, but in the form of abstract art. I know, that would be great, Karen.
Yeah, no, for sure. No, and I want to throw this out there for like any other artists that are, you know, are watching this. It's like, if you do have work that you've done on this subject, you know, please send it to me. And my email is just my name at gmail.com, or, you know, when you, or through my contact page on my website, because I just still think it's so important to document this. And I want to make it as inclusive as possible. And while, you know, again, it's like, I do have some other projects, which is another like a shout out I want to do, but I just think I've just been driven, and in a way it's been making me a little nutty, where I've had to take like just a few days off, and like, I don't know, I've started like sewing or like doing some other stuff just to like, to get out of the negative space. But having said that, it's sort of like running an ultra marathon, where it's like, I am not giving up until I'm over the finish line. So of wanting to document this for all time, so people know it's like how people were affected, because I think visuals are, artists are just so important. They're like the souls of our community, because they're willing to take what they think, what they feel, turn it into something that, you know, that's beautiful, like a visual that speaks to our issues that really affect us and our families. And so I'm just going to keep plugging away.
Definitely. I see, it looks like we may have there's a hand raised. BMJYKNO, did you have a question?
No, I wanted to say, I came on late, so I don't know what the format is, but I did want to say that I think this is actually going to be relevant well past the election. I don't think that we should expect that Trump's going to go away. Assuming, you know, hopefully we vote him out of office, but I think he'll be, you know, sniping from the sidelines. And I think his whole, you know, posse of Republicans who, you know, became really, really cynical under his administration are going to still be what they are. And I think this message is still really relevant. And I think the enough, you know, is going to be a message that we need to continue to hear afterwards. Because he, you know, the birther stuff, the communist stuff, the monster stuff, he's not going to shut up. And so I think it does still become relevant.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great point.
You know, we can open it up to conversation if, you know, if anybody else has any questions, or and also, you know, I know there's quite a few people that came in late. I'm sure Justin would be more than happy to do another quick walkthrough. Let's see, oops. Oh, there we go. trying to unmute you there. Okay, well, I want to. There we go.
Hey everybody, yeah, so does anyone like have anything specific they want to see? Should I do another lap and kind of talk about the work again?
Yes, please.
All right.
Justin, you know what I would really like? Because
Yes.
when we look at the work, you know, you linger on the piece. You examine it. Brushing through it was very interesting. But I just like to digest a piece for maybe 60 seconds of just still camera. That's my personal desire.
Oh, I love that. Would you like me to kind of like go in, hold and then get a little closer, kind of move around it a little bit?
Definitely. That sounds
Yeah,
great.
okay. All right, so let's go back to the Genesis piece, right? And you don't want to look at me. Let's do the work.
And again, please post any comments in chat, and even, you know, conversation. Please feel free to turn off your mic and, you know, be part of the conversation.
So this first one is called Nation Divided, and I hope you can see it, but the shape, I failed to mention this before, the shape of the figurines attached to the distressed flag form the shape of a Jolly Roger or a skull and crossbones. So another little iconographer elements to kind of help speak to the idea that the more divided we become, the more likely our union will fall. Again, these are defunct video game figurines that make up that shape. And each piece is, I came up with this technique to whitewash this really beautiful wood veneer. And I wanted the pieces to be visually subtle, but yet carry a lot of meaning and iconography and whatnot.
This also always reminded me of a chessboard. You know,
yeah,
another layer to it.
Yeah, definitely in terms of like the idea of a battle, right? Chess is all about war, and unfortunately, I think we're a nation at war with itself. So that's A Nation Divided. And that was the first piece I created, and it was kind of a genesis of it was due to all the toys I had from the move. The second one here, this is the next one. This one's the State of Trump. And I created this piece, one, just to kind of remind myself, and this was early on. This is like 2008. I created this 2017, 2018. And it's really more or less to kind of start to encapsulate all the horrendous things I think were transpiring. But different elements of it, looking at the top, it's a cross, and on the edges of the cross are dollar signs, which is also flanked by the Ku Klux Klan emblem behind the cross at a 45. And I liken that because it felt very much like when you're at church and you see the halos around different elements, different apostles and whatnot. It felt appropriate. He's flanked by barbed wire, and then we got his wall. Here, he got his wall right there. Hopefully he's walling himself off. Moving to this next one, this is Dump Trump. And kind of going around and look at like who's driving it. We got a MAGA hat wearing guy. He's like waving at us. He's like, woohoo, this is great. This is great. I'm gonna dump what America stands for. It's now for the few, not everybody. He's dumping truth, free press, equality, science, democracy, the American dream.
I love how that figure is just barely hidden. You know, like you can't really see it from straight on. You have to see it from a different view.
No, I'm glad you like that because you know it was the only piece I put any color into. But the red hat, it had it had to be red.
Now, Justin, I know we had talked about when you were installing the show, you had thought about like putting two pieces together that were either bookends of each other or that kind of fit based on the flag. Did you have a specific idea when you hung each piece or an order or anything like that?
Yeah, I did. I'm glad you brought that up. So when I was creating the pieces, I had two things in mind. I wanted to show, like, it's a little didactic, but I wanted to show my point of view, that everything, these pieces, I'm not saying I'm for what this guy's up to. But what I was trying to do is, in case the piece on the left, which is the right side up, the right side up American flag, and the piece on the left, which is in distress, upside down. If you'll notice, the stripes of the flag start to combine, and actually, I have 8 pieces. 4 are right side up, 4 upside down, and they actually pair really beautifully as a pair when you put them that way. So they can be mixed and matched, but when I hang them, unfortunately I have 3 and 3. The room wasn't big enough. It does make a nice synergy between the stripes moving from one piece to the other. You know, notice like here, again, if these two were reversed, it works a little bit better. But it was definitely something I had planned. In some of the pieces, I felt the flag needed to be distressed to make the point that I was going for a little bit more than others. This is another one. This is F it, I'm playing through. I think it's, what is it, Trump golf count. This one's made up of golf clubs. Make the bird. And actually, there's one little nice thing. The very top one, the name of the golf club, I don't know if you can see it, is actually Ball Buster. I thought that was kind of funny. So that's the pinnacle of the FU is a Ball Buster. But I don't know, I think, you know, whoever he's flipping off, I don't know if we're flipping him off, the world, he's flipping the world off. I think really he's laughing at all of us as Americans. He's getting the power he wants by dividing us, and I think that's all he cares about. This one's social revulsion, thorny tweets, inspired by, and actually written, engraved into the handle of the hammer. Designed in Russia, made in USA. Kind of speaking of a lot of the, depends who you listen to, but I believe truly there was Russian interference in our election process, the leaking of the WikiLeaks and all that stuff. Now this one is enable and protect, speaking to the Orwellian change that a lot of our organizations, in this case the EPA, have faced under the Trump administration, where it's less about protecting the environment and it's more about protecting the profits of the companies that are regulated for what they're doing, which is awful. Looking at this gas mask, is actually this really interesting gas mask. And I didn't mention this too, as I continued the process, I kind of burned through a lot of the kids' toys, which I felt really good about. But then I found eBay, and you know, when I started coming up with different ideas, I'm like, it's interesting where inspiration starts. For me, it either starts in an idea, but also starts in material or an element. So a lot of times I'll say, oh, I want to kind of communicate this idea, and then I'll think about an element, or I'll find an element, and then I come up with the idea. It's interesting in this process. It's kind of gone back and forth. This one is full of shit. This is about Corona and all the different things he said about it from the beginning, even calling it the Chinese virus, the new hoax, like a miracle, it'll disappear. Respirators, ventilators, get them yourselves. Inject disinfectant, hydroxy, sunlight, wear a mask if you want. Flatten the curve, open America, they are dying, it is what it is. I don't take responsibility at all. So when you're spewing that much crap, you need to wipe a lot. So He's got a toilet, the last of the toilet paper, he's used it all up. And this grab me by, made up of Barbie doll legs, specifically posed to make the words I was looking for. Down in the bottom, it says -45, since this was his quote. And then one element about this one I think is really fun. The very last set of Barbie legs is wearing these really gnarly high heels. And this one's called Kick 'em Out. And I really like the idea that these big heel boots like up the side of the head, like boom, get out of here, buddy. So these are the 8 pieces of the Whitewashing of America series right now. There's a 9th planned. I don't know what it is yet because I don't know where this is going. And ultimately my goal was to, within a space that probably have to be 20 feet by 20 feet, have a grid of 3 by 3 where all the pieces were hung in a great big square reminiscent of each of the squares. But that final piece is still a mystery to me. And hopefully, to what Britt Johansson had mentioned earlier, I think even if he's voted out, he's going to still have a lot of stuff to say and a lot of horrible things to do. So I think there's definitely one more piece coming in the series, for sure. Oh, also speaking about after the election, I want to show something really quickly. So I am making bandanas and stickers. So can you guys see this? So this is a bandana that I'm actually is being printed. It'll be done Monday. And what I wanted to do, I wanted to make I'm calling it a protest bandana. And they're all images, digital images of my pieces. And when they're folded down, and it's not going to be this big. The actual size of the bandana is this size. It's just, this is a mock-up. They were supposed to be here today. They're not done yet. I'll tell you what, trying to get stuff produced during COVID is challenging, really challenging, but they're on their way. What I want to do is create something when you're out protesting, everything about down is you can put it up and down very easily. But each way you wear it, there's a different message. So I've made, right now, I've made 75 of them, and then I want to put protest packets together for people to buy. If you want a bandana and some stickers of the various artworks of the Whitewashing of America, send me a note, or to shop@prough.com, and let me know how many you want. And price-wise, I'm thinking $15 for the bandanas and stickers. And I want to donate 20% of the profits, or actually all the proceeds, to the Sunrise Movement. And they're a really interesting organization fighting for moving beyond fossil fuel. It's more of an organization devoted to climate change and what we need to do about it. But they're also staunch for many reasons. It goes hand in hand. The climate denial that's coming out of administration, we need to get them out first before actually make change in the environment. So definitely let me know if anyone here wants to buy a bandana, some stickers, come get them. They'll be here in a few days, and you get a little memento from my series. And does anyone have any other questions, anything else they want to see, they want to talk about? I definitely want to I actually set this up, I call it the balcony gallery. It is, during COVID, you have to be a little bit interesting. It is in my home. But I would love to have people, if they want to come see this series in person, you got to wear a mask, and take your temperature, not too many people. Come, let me switch this. Come to see the work by appointment. I'd love to have that happen. So if you're in the LA area and you want to come see it, send me a note, justin@pro.com, and we can arrange it. Mask will be worn, and the nice thing, it is off a balcony. And I hear if the gallerist/artist, if there's good conversation going, a bottle of wine could be opened to kind of like commemorate the visitation, and we'll be outside. So please let me know if you want to see the work in person. I can arrange that, but by appointment only, just because of the current situation we're in. Any questions? Anyone got any comments? Anything else they want to see?
There's no new questions in chat, but please, if you have any questions, anybody, please feel free.
All right.
Linda Sue Price says great talk. Thank you, Karen. Great show.
I have not a question, but a comment.
Sure.
Sure.
I just want to say how fantastic we think that this work is, how provocative, how I want to show it to all of my friends of like-thinking, right-thinking, I'm sorry, left-thinking people.
I think right-thinking actually is the way it should be.
And I'm going to get a group together. Justin, how many people can you take at a time?
Let's keep it small, maybe six.
One muscle ball per person. Okay. Okay, I'll be there. And I'm going to order some. It says Prough.com. Shopprough.com. Is that correct?
Yeah. I think, can we post it to the chat maybe?
Okay.
Yeah, I did. It's shop at Prough.com.
Okay.
Oh, Justin, there's a question. The Bruner family saw a sculpture in the background. Do you want to talk about that work also?
Oh, good eye. So one of the questions I've gotten a lot lately is like, people are like, well, okay, you've been working on this political work. What's next? What happens after the election? So I'm also very much involved in thinking about our environment. I'm a surfer, I'm native California, and between the fires and the water and everything going on, I'm concerned. So this is a series I've been working on, I'm going to continue to work on. It's called Seascapes Found. And I'm trying to draw attention to the changing alkalinity of our oceans and what that actually does on the creatures that live in them. So the pieces are made of driftwood, seashells, and rock. And one of the horrendous things that I think we don't hear much about is our oceans absorb a tremendous amount of carbon, and that's a really good thing. But by doing so, it changes the acidity of the oceans. And as the acidity changes, one of the main creature types, creatures that form shells, crustaceans, snails, anything with some sort of hard outer skeleton, as the oceans get more acidic, they don't actually harden. So when they don't harden, these animals will die. So for many years, I've walked beaches and gone in the ocean around the world, and I've collected momentous shells and different pieces from different places. And the idea that this natural debris could be replaced entirely by plastic because all these creatures die is really, really heartbreaking to me. So I'm creating time capsules of these elements. Some are kind of machines, robots, some look like houses. But I'm hopeful as humans we'll get our act together. But if we don't, these things will be time capsules from what I could find on the beach now for the future. So this is another series I'm working on. If you go to justinpro.com, Seascapes Found, you can see some other of those pieces if you're interested. But yeah, thanks for the question. My little creature in the background.
I put links in chat to your website and the online exhibition. And also I put a link to Karen's book if anybody would like to check it out and purchase it. Are there any other questions? Karen, oh, I think, oops, let me see. I think you're muted. Are you trying to say something? Oops.
Yeah. So yeah, I just sort of, I'd love to see this book after the election going to be available in full online so everyone can view it. But until then, sort of two things. One is that all the proceeds from the sale of this book is going to the Sue's Artist and Activist Fund that is supporting artists that have been affected by COVID. And now I forgot what was the second thing I was going to say. Oh, I'm losing my mind. So, oh yes, anyone who's watching this, also feel free to contact me because you could buy the book on Amazon, but I'm selling it to, you know, friends at cost. So if you just want to contact me, I'd be happy to sell it to any of our viewers at cost.
I'm muted as I'm talking. Thank you so much, Karen. Do you want to put
No,
or
yeah,
actually, oh, sorry. I did put your website in the chat. So.
Good. So people will know how to get a hold of me, because it's like my whole thing is like I do all of this activist curating pretty much as a volunteer, just because I'm so driven. I think it's so important to share these voices to the world. And I'm also a practicing artist, so you know, just knowing how, you know, important it is to get that out there, because I think artists really can create a new normal. So when we look at things, it's like the influencers, whether it's through film or music, art, when people, the general public, it's like they look to us artists, and when we can see things, then you really feel it, and then you incorporate it in your life, and we can help create a new normal for looking to improving, you know, the environment, LGBTQ rights, women's rights, just, you know, all across the board, of making the world a place that we want for our kids, our grandkids, for, you know, for everyone. And so.
Absolutely. Cool. There's like, oh, I'm sorry. Were you gonna?
Yeah. Very last thing. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for, you know, being here. And I mean, like I said, the perfect pairing, you know, yeah. Your book and Justin's work. And I mean, it's all so relevant right now and so important to talk about. And yeah, no, definitely. Thank you so much. And
Christine?
Justin, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were finished. There's so many people that I'm thinking of who would have just loved to have been part of this show that you're presenting now. You are recording this, are you not?
Yes.
And
yes.
It's a visual recording as well, so that they can go to your website and see the whole shtick.
If it's going to be on Shoebox PR's YouTube channel, I will also post it on the online exhibition, so that way people can go back later on and see. I posted the link in the chat for Justin.
Okay.
And it's also on Shoebox Projects on Facebook.
Can you spell Shabbat?
Shoebox, like shoe.
Shoebox.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm hearing Shabbat, and I'm going,
sorry.
Strange. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's a few places, but if you message me, I can always send you a link also. Awesome. Are there any other questions or conversation, or, you know, we have Justin and Karen here for a bit longer, just in case.
No, since Linda was just saying, let me show you her work. Linda Sue Price, that was just speaking, is in, hold it, where's the page? Hold it, how did I miss her page? Oh, here. Oh my God. So, I don't know. Let's see if I can get this up here. This is the work of beautiful neon, just showing the craziness of Trump, and just love it. It's a gorgeous neon piece by Linda Sue Price.
I remember when she first created that work, and I mean, now it does look, it really represents who he is today.
It really does, and her statement is so well written.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
There's, you know, there's a lot of artists who haven't necessarily done political art in the past, or politically specific about Trump, that just were compelled, you know, to create it now, you know, based on what's going on. Yep. Thank you for sharing. Awesome. There's just a couple of other little comments. Fabulous show. Excellent commentary from Justin and Karen. Thank you very much. Let's see. Amazing, thought-provoking art, Justin. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And from Janine Pin. Justin, you know how much I love your work, but telling you again. And great work, Justin. And yeah, a few really nice comments in chat. So yeah, I mean, with that, I think Justin, unless you have anything else to add, or Karen, or here, let's see. There you go, Justin.
No, I mean, thank you everyone for coming. It means a lot to me. I think with COVID going on right now, we had to get a little creative in terms of the space, knowing that most galleries aren't open. And you know, when we started planning this, we didn't know if anything was going to be open. So this has worked out pretty well. You know, again, if anyone wants to come see in person, because it does make a big difference, I'm open to that. Let me know. Come on out, a couple people. We'll wear masks. Be great. That'd be fantastic. And then also, if anyone's more interested in the bandanas, I'd love them to get them. I hope we don't need them, but I have a feeling we're gonna need them after the election. So it'd be good to have. And then lastly, I'm actually, you know, another plug for myself. I have a Seascape found piece and a show that's another Zoom show tonight at Shoebox Gallery. The show is 2021 exclamation point. And it's a piece that I created that's kind of a mashup between COVID and environmental change. You know, stay tuned. It should be interesting. There'll be more artists talking. Shockbox always puts on a great show, so if you make that, try to make it. But with that, if there's no other questions, thank you so much. Send me a note if you want to come see it. I'd love to have it. We're going to have it up for 2 weeks. We'll have it up for 2 weeks. If anyone comes out and see it, please do. And thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, everybody. Have an amazing rest of the evening. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.
Thank you, Kristen.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so much,
Kristen.
Kristen.
Karen.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thanks.
And Karen.
Bye.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All of you. Wonderful. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.